The massive warships of the Taiyang Empire darkened Earth's skies as they positioned themselves in low orbit. Commander Doyun stood tall on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Victory *, his silver uniform gleaming under the ambient lights. He had conquered 17 worlds before this one, and Earth would simply be another name on that list. "Scans complete, Commander," reported Officer Juwu, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "No defensive grid detected. Their technology is primitive: internal combustion engines, basic satellites, and rudimentary nuclear weaponry." Doyun walked to the viewing panel, looking down at the blue-green planet. Such a beautiful world, soon to be another jewel in the Empire's crown. His reflection showed a small smile forming on his face. "Another easy conquest for the glory of the Empire," he said. "Send the standard ultimatum. Give them one rotation to surrender before we begin the demonstration strikes." As the message transmitted to Earth's governments, the planet appeared serene and vulnerable below them. Do-hyun enjoyed this moment most. The calm before the storm, when a planet's inhabitants first realized their insignificance in the face of the Empire's might. "This world has abundant water resources," Officer Juwu noted, reviewing the scan data. "The Emperor will be pleased." "Yes, and 7 billion new workers for our mines," added Lieutenant Sunwoo, who oversaw resource acquisition. "Though we'll need to cull their numbers. Perhaps 2 billion will be sufficient." Commander Doyun nodded in agreement. "Prepare targeting solutions for their largest military installations. We'll begin there once the deadline passes." The bridge crew worked efficiently, mapping Earth's defenses, identifying power centers, and preparing the invasion plan. None of them seemed concerned. After all, this procedure had worked perfectly 17 times before. Meanwhile, across Earth, the alien message reached every government simultaneously. Panels of translators quickly deciphered the ultimatum: surrender within 24 hours or face destruction. In an underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Kim reviewed the alien transmission with his international team. The room was filled with military leaders from every major nation, all gathered around a circular table embedded with screens showing the alien fleet's positions. "They've positioned themselves exactly where we predicted," said Admiral Lee, pointing to the display. "Their formation suggests they follow standard military doctrine: flagship at center, defensive screen around the perimeter." General Kim's eyes narrowed as he studied the enemy positions and their scan patterns. "Just as our scientists predicted," answered Colonel Park, the head of Earth's Intelligence Division. "They're only detecting what we want them to detect." For 30 years, Earth had prepared for this moment. The first alien signals had been detected decades ago, and rather than broadcasting their discovery, Earth's nations had made an unprecedented decision: prepare in secret. The world's best scientists, engineers, and military minds had worked together to develop defenses that would appear invisible to alien scanning technology. Every satellite launched had dual purposes. Every space mission contained hidden objectives. Behind the facade of a planet just beginning to explore space, Earth had built an invisible shield. "They see exactly what we want them to see," General Kim said, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "A primitive world with no space defenses, basic technology, and disunited nations." Around the table, representatives from different countries nodded. The deception had worked perfectly. "Their weapons are charging," reported a technician monitoring the alien fleet. "They appear to be preparing demonstration strikes." General Kim made eye contact with representatives from other nations: Russia, China, the European Union, India, Brazil. Each one nodded in turn. The plan they had worked on for decades was now in motion. "They've taken the bait," he said. "Activate Protocol Hammer. It's time to reveal what humanity is truly capable of." Throughout the room, officers began issuing commands through secure channels. Deep beneath the oceans, hidden in mountain ranges, disguised as weather stations, Earth's true defenses began powering up. In space, the crew of the Eternal Victory remained unaware of the trap they had walked into. Commander Do Yun was drafting his report to the Emperor, already planning which Earth resources to harvest first. "Sir," Officer Juwu called out suddenly, "I'm detecting energy spikes from the planet's surface." Do Yun frowned, walking over to her station. "What kind of energy?" "They're primitive nuclear weapons." "No, sir," she replied, confusion evident in her voice. "This is different. I've never seen readings like this before." As alarms began to sound across the bridge, Commander Do Yun realized that perhaps, for the first time in his career, he had made a grave miscalculation. The supposedly defenseless Earth was awakening, and the Taiyang Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. 25 years earlier, a young Dr. Haijin sat alone in her laboratory, staring at data patterns that made no sense. At first, she thought her equipment was malfunctioning. The signals didn't match any known terrestrial source. After triple-checking her work, she reached for the phone with trembling hands. "Sir, I found something you need to see," she told her supervisor. Within days, scientists across the globe confirmed her discovery. Earth was receiving signals from deep space. Not random cosmic noise, but structured transmissions that could only be artificial. The revelation was kept from the public as world leaders secretly gathered to assess the situation. In an underground bunker beneath Geneva, representatives from rival nations sat together, united by a common fear. "These signals suggest advanced technology far beyond our own," said the American representative. "And they're not friendly greetings," added the Russian delegate. "Our linguists believe these are military communications, coordinates, fleet movements, conquest plans." For the first time in human history, countries that had pointed weapons at each other for decades now faced a threat that made their differences seem trivial. The Chinese premier stood up. "We have two choices. We can announce this discovery and create global panic, or we can prepare in secret." Operation Shield Wall was born that day, humanity's greatest secret and most ambitious project. Every participating nation contributed their best minds and resources. Instead of racing each other to the stars, Earth's nations worked together to build defenses. Dr. Haijin led the technology division. Her breakthrough came when studying a fragment of suspected alien material that had crashed in the Gobi Desert. She discovered how to create quantum displacement fields, energy shields that could bend both light and force. The beauty of these shields, she explained to military officials, is that they remain invisible until activated. To outside observers, they'll appear as nothing more than atmospheric distortion. While her team developed the shield technology, Colonel Chuno created Earth's counter-offensive capability. A former fighter pilot, he understood the importance of rapid response forces. "Our enemies will have space superiority," he told his international team. "So we must think differently. We need weapons that can strike from hiding, from directions they won't expect." Junho's solution was an army of microdrones, each no larger than a hummingbird, powered by miniaturized fusion cells. These drones could attach to enemy ships and disrupt their systems from within. His pilots trained in virtual reality chambers, hidden inside what appeared to be mining operations. On the surface, Earth continued as normal. Nations still argued publicly, militaries still conducted exercises against each other, and the space programs advanced at their expected slow pace. But beneath this carefully maintained facade, humanity prepared for war. Weather satellites carried shield generators. Abandoned mines housed drone launch facilities. Ordinary communication arrays concealed powerful weapons. Earth created the appearance of division, while secretly achieving unprecedented unity. Now, 25 years later, as the Taiyang ships prepared their weapons, Colonel Chuno, now gray-haired but sharp as ever, addressed his pilots in a facility deep beneath the Australian outback. "Today we face the enemy we've prepared for all these years," he said to rows of men and women seated at control stations. "You've trained for this moment since you were recruited. Our drones are in position." hidden among debris in low Earth orbit. On their screens, they could see the alien fleet's weapons powering up. Energy readings spiked as massive cannons prepared to fire. Shunho's voice remained calm. Remember your training. Wait for their first move, then execute pattern sunfire. Similar scenes played out in command centers across the globe, beneath the Himalayas, inside hollowed-out mountains in North America, within the bedrock under African deserts. Earth's defenders sat ready, fingers hovering over controls, waiting for the moment to reveal their true strength. In the primary command center beneath the Pacific, General Kim watched the main display as the Taeyang vessels moved into attack formation. His eyes narrowed as targeting solutions appeared on the screen. The aliens were aiming at military bases, power stations, and major cities. A junior officer looked nervous. "Sir, shouldn't we activate defenses now? They're about to fire." General Kim shook his head firmly. "Not yet. Let them fire first. Let them think they have the advantage." He turned to Dr. Haijin, who stood beside him. After 25 years of work, the moment of truth had arrived for both of them. "Your shields will hold?" he asked quietly. The physicist nodded, her eyes reflecting the screen's glow. "They'll hold, General, and the aliens won't know what hit them." As the first energy beams began to descend from the Taeyang ships, humanity's hidden defenders tensed, ready to spring the trap they had prepared for a quarter century. Earth was far from defenseless, and the invaders were about to learn this lesson the hard way. On the bridge of the Eternal Victory, tension filled the air as the crew prepared to demonstrate their power to the primitive Earthlings. Commander Doyun stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the main display with satisfaction. The first lesson to new conquests always needed to be memorable, a show of force that would break the will to resist. "Targeting complete," announced Officer Juwu, her fingers moving across the glowing control panel. "Demonstration strikes aimed at uninhabited areas as per protocol. We've selected the Sahara Desert, Siberian tundra, and Antarctic ice shelf." Commander Doyun nodded, savoring the moment. 17 worlds had fallen before him, and Earth would be no different. Fire. The massive energy cannons of the Taeyang fleet discharged simultaneously. Brilliant blue beams sliced through Earth's atmosphere, racing toward the planet's surface. The bridge crew watched, expecting to see massive explosions and crater formation, the standard results of their weapons. Instead, something extraordinary happened. As the beams neared their targets, shimmering walls of energy suddenly appeared, intercepting the attack. The energy weapons didn't explode against these barriers. They were simply absorbed, like water into a sponge. "What is this?" Doyun demanded, his composure cracking as the readings on his display made no sense. He had never seen defensive technology like this. Increase power. Fire again. Officer Juwu frantically adjusted the weapon controls. "Sir, our sensors show no defensive installations. This is impossible." Before the cannons could recharge, the Eternal Victory violently lurched sideways. Doyun was thrown against a control panel, pain shooting through his shoulder. Around him, crew members fell from their stations. "Status report," he shouted. Lieutenant Sunwoo struggled to read his displays as they flickered. "Sir, something is interfering with our gravity generators. We're losing stability." Across the invasion fleet, Taeyang vessels began to spin out of control. On the main screen, Dohyun watched in horror as his perfectly arranged formation dissolved into chaos. One destroyer was turning upside down, its engines firing randomly. Another was moving in tight circles, unable to maintain course. "We're being attacked," shouted Juwu. "Small devices, thousands of them, attaching to our hulls and disrupting our gravity systems." The ship's security feed showed tiny objects swarming the fleet, each no bigger than a human hand, moving with precision and purpose. They attached themselves to critical points on the hulls, their lights blinking as they activated. "Impossible," whispered Doyun as he watched 3 of his destroyers collide and explode in a brilliant flash. Debris scattered across space, some pieces striking other ships and causing further damage. In the command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Kim watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Around him, officers monitored different aspects of Earth's counterattack. "Shields holding at 97% capacity," reported one officer. "Their weapons are powerful, but our quantum barriers are absorbing the energy exactly as Dr. Hyjin predicted." On the main screen, they could see the Taiyang fleet in disarray. The micro-drones were performing perfectly, attaching to the alien ships and creating localized gravity distortions that the enemy vessels couldn't counteract. Phase 2, ordered General Kim. "Activate the railguns." Across Earth, hidden weapons platforms revealed themselves. Massive gun barrels emerged from mountain ranges, desert sands, and ocean floors. These were electromagnetic railguns, capable of accelerating projectiles to incredible speeds. Back on the Eternal Victory, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Half the bridge consoles had gone dark, and emergency lighting bathed the crew in red. "Sir, we've lost contact with 6 destroyers and 3 cruisers," reported Lieutenant Sunwoo, his voice shaking. "And now we're detecting new energy signatures from the planet's surface." Commander Do-hyun gripped a railing to stay upright as the ship continued to shake. "Impossible. They're primitives. How could they hide such technology from our scans?" Officer Ju looked up from her console, her face pale. "Sir, they wanted us to think they were primitives. This was a trap." A sudden impact rocked the flagship. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship. "Direct hit to our port side," shouted Sunwoo. "Some kind of kinetic projectile, moving faster than our shields can react." Through the viewing port, Do-hyun watched in disbelief as streaks of light shot up from Earth's surface. Each streak found its target. More of his ships exploding or breaking apart. The pride of the Taiyang Empire, 17 times victorious, was being systematically destroyed. "Send a message to the Empire," Do-hyun ordered. "Warn them that Earth is." Another impact cut him off, throwing him to the floor. The bridge lights flickered and died. When emergency power restored limited systems, Do-hyun pulled himself to his feet and stared at the tactical display. What he saw chilled him to the core. Of his original fleet of 50 warships, only 12 remained operational. And now, new readings were appearing. Smaller vessels rising from Earth, heading directly toward his remaining ships. For the first time in his military career, Commander Do-hyun felt fear. The supposedly primitive humans had not only defended themselves, they were now launching a counterattack. And there was nothing he could do to stop them. Captain Min-soo checked her gear one final time as her team of 12 Special Forces operators prepared in the teleportation chamber. Each soldier wore advanced combat suits designed to absorb enemy weapon fire and enhance physical capabilities. Their faces showed focus, not fear. "This mission is straightforward," Min-soo told her team. "We teleport directly to the Taiyang flagship, secure the bridge, and capture Commander Do-hyun alive. Remember, we need him breathing. His access codes will give us control of their entire network." The teleportation technology had been Earth's most closely guarded secret. Developed from studying alien signals over 2 decades, it had never been tested against an actual alien vessel until today. 30 seconds to teleport," announced the technician. Coordinates locked on the flagship's command deck. Min-soo took a deep breath. They had trained for this mission for years, but simulation was not reality. "Weapons ready, non-lethal force when possible. We want prisoners and intel, not bodies." The chamber filled with blue light as the countdown reached 0. For a split second, Min-soo felt her body turn to pure energy. Then she and her team materialized in a corridor aboard the Eternal Victory. An alien crew member turned in shock, reaching for a weapon. One of Min-soo's soldiers fired first, hitting the alien with a stun round that dropped him instantly. "Move to the bridge," Min-soo ordered. "Sensors show it's 30 meters ahead." As her team advanced through the ship, Earth's hidden defenses fully revealed themselves across the planet. Mountain ranges opened to expose massive rail guns that had been concealed for decades. Orbital platforms disguised as communication satellites unfolded into weapon arrays, targeting the remaining alien ships. Inside the United Nations Command Center, General Kim watched the battle progress. Captain Minsu's team has successfully boarded the flagship, he announced to the gathered leaders. Phase 3 is proceeding as planned. On the main display, the remains of the Taiyang fleet drifted helplessly. Some ships were completely destroyed, others disabled and drifting. Earth forces now surrounded the surviving vessels. On the bridge of the Eternal Victory, chaos reigned. Emergency lights flashed red as damage reports flooded in from all sections. Officer Juwu frantically tried to establish communication with the other ships, her fingers moving desperately across controls that were barely functioning. 70% of the fleet is disabled or destroyed, she reported to Commander Doyun, her voice trembling. We've lost all forward weapons. Life support is failing on decks 3 through 7. We must retreat and inform the Empire. Commander Doyun stood in the center of the bridge, his silver uniform now torn and stained. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. The perfect invasion he had planned lay in ruins around him. His face showed not fear, but rage. No retreat, Doyun snapped, pushing aside a junior officer to reach the communication console. He began sending an emergency transmission to the Taiyang homeworld. This is Commander Doyun. Earth is not as it appears. The humans have deceived us. They possess advanced technology, including energy shields, gravity weapons, and... A loud explosion cut him off as the bridge doors were blown inward. Through the smoke, Captain Minsu's team stormed in, their weapons raised. With precise shots, they neutralized the Taiyang guards before they could react. Commander Doyun reached for his sidearm, but froze when he found himself staring down the barrel of Captain Minsu's weapon. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," she said calmly. Doyun's eyes narrowed as he took in the human soldiers. Their advanced armor, their confident stance. Nothing like the primitive species his intelligence had described. "How?" he demanded. "Our scans showed no advanced technology. No orbital defenses. No energy weapons." "That's exactly what we wanted you to see," Minsu replied. "We've been expecting visitors like you for decades. We prepared accordingly." Around the bridge, her team secured the alien crew, collecting weapons and restraining officers. One soldier moved to the communication console, ensuring that Doyun's warning message had been cut off before transmission. "You can't defeat the Empire," Doyun said, his voice filled with defiance despite his situation. "We control 17 star systems. Our main fleet is 1,000 times larger than what you face today." Minsu smiled slightly. "Yet we defeated your invasion force in under 5 minutes. Imagine what we could do with proper preparation." She stepped closer, her weapons still trained on the alien commander. "For 25 years, Earth has known about your empire. We intercepted your communications. We studied your tactics. We prepared for this day while making sure you would underestimate us. Your scans showed exactly what we wanted them to see, a primitive world, easy to conquer." Officer Juwu and the other bridge crew watched in stunned silence as their commander was forced to his knees. "Commander Doyun," Minsu said, training her weapon on him as her team finished securing the bridge. "Your invasion is over. But our counterstrike is just beginning." 4 minutes and 22 seconds after the Taiyang Empire fired their first shot, Earth's defense forces had completely neutralized the invasion fleet. The battle had been swift and decisive. Where 50 alien warships once threatened Earth, now only floating debris and captured vessels remained. In the Grand United Nations Emergency Chamber, world leaders gathered to discuss humanity's next steps. The room buzzed with excited conversation as representatives from all nations realized the significance of their victory. Screens around the chamber showed images of the defeated alien fleet. Dr. Haijin stood at the central podium, her gray-streaked hair pulled back tightly. The brilliant physicist who had dedicated 25 years to developing Earth's defenses now presented findings from the captured ships. "We have accessed the Taiyang database," she said, her voice clear and strong. "The information is troubling but important. The captured commander's ship contains the coordinates of 27 worlds currently under Taiyang occupation. All of them have populations that have been enslaved." She displayed images on the main screen. Worlds with beautiful landscapes now covered in mining operations and labor camps. Alien species of all forms worked under harsh conditions, supervised by Taiyang overseers. "The Empire has been expanding for over 200 years, Dr. Haijin continued. "They find worlds with developing civilizations, conquer them, and use the populations as labor." The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Earth had not just defended itself, it had stumbled into a much larger conflict. General Kim stepped forward, his uniform decorated with medals from many nations. "Then our duty is clear," he said, looking around the chamber. "We have the technology, we have the weapons, and now we have the knowledge of where to go." In the days that followed, Earth revealed its most surprising secret: a fleet of spaceships built in hidden lunar facilities. For 2 decades, using materials mined from asteroids, humanity had constructed vessels capable of interstellar travel. The flagship of this new fleet, named Unity, prepared for its maiden voyage beyond the solar system. On its bridge, Captain Minsu reviewed the mission plans with her crew. Through a viewing window, she could see 12 other ships in formation, Earth's first liberation fleet. In a secure holding cell, Commander Doyun sat in silent fury. The once proud Taiyang commander now wore restraints on his wrists and ankles. He would serve as their reluctant guide on this mission. "You think you can challenge the Empire?" he asked when Captain Minsu came to see him. "You won one battle. The Empire has millions of soldiers on dozens of worlds. Yet you couldn't take Earth," Minsu replied calmly. "And now we have your ships, your weapons, and your tactical data. More importantly, we have something your Empire never understood: the will to fight not just for ourselves, but for others." In the United Nations chamber, General Kim addressed the assembly one final time before the fleet's departure. "The Taiyang Empire thought we were defenseless," he said, his voice echoing through the hall. "They assumed our apparent technological simplicity meant weakness. They were wrong." He walked slowly across the stage, looking at representatives from nations that had once been enemies, but now stood united. "For centuries, humanity fought itself. We directed our creativity toward building weapons to use against each other. When we detected the first alien signals, we could have continued that path. Instead, we chose unity and preparation." The main screen showed Earth's fleet in lunar orbit, preparing for departure. "Now we will show the galaxy what humanity stands for: not conquest, but freedom. The empire that sought to enslave us will instead face liberation at our hands." 3 days later, Captain Minsu stood on the bridge of the Unity as final launch preparations completed. Her crew, men and women from 20 different nations, monitored their stations with focused determination. "All systems ready, Captain," reported her first officer. "The fleet awaits your command." Minsu took a deep breath. Humanity's first steps into the wider galaxy would not be as explorers or diplomats, but as liberators. "Send the message to all ships," she ordered. "We depart in 5 minutes." Through the main viewing port, Earth shone blue and beautiful. They would return, Minsu promised herself. But first, there were worlds to free and an empire to dismantle. The Unity's engines powered up, followed by the rest of the fleet. As Earth's ships departed toward distant stars, they carried a message that would soon reach the oppressed worlds of the galaxy. "You are not forgotten. Help is coming." In his holding cell, Commander Doyun watched through a small window as Earth disappeared behind them. His expression remained stern, but inside, doubt had begun to grow. The empire that had thought Earth would fall in minutes was itself about to face something it had never encountered before: a species that fought not for conquest, but for freedom. And that made humans the most dangerous species in the galaxy.